Today, we're going to cover how you can use Power Query in Power BI to do some basic cleanup of your data. My name is Alex. Let's go. All right, let's get right into it. So let's go over to Data, right-click, hit Edit Query. And for this example, I've given us two data sources, one from Sheet 1, one from Sheet 2. They're similar enough, but there are a few key differences. But I want to combine the two. Before we combine the two, though, I want to show you a couple of things that we can do. If we look here a little bit longer, we see that we have column 2, column 3, column 4. I have the row that I want to be the headers right here. But you can see that Power Query automatically promoted the headers. So I'm actually going to get rid of that step by hitting this X right here. It's going to prompt me. It's going to say, hey, this might break some things. We're going to go ahead and hit delete anyways. And you can see that, oh, okay, there was an error. Probably because it changed the type of it, and it probably referenced something that it had promoted. So we're going to go ahead and get rid of the change type as well. Now you're going to see here's the data, and it's full of nulls at the top. So what we want to do is actually get rid of that. So we're going to go to Remove Rows, hit Remove Top Rows, just one, hit OK, and then it gets rid of the row that we didn't want. Now I want to take this first row and make it my headers. So I'm going to use the first row as headers. Just left click here. And it automatically promotes. So you can see ID, first name, last name, birthday, everything exactly. Now, say these two sheets of data came from completely different data sources, but for some or other reason, for my visual, I need to be able to have them as one table. Now, there's two ways that I can do that. I can merge the query over here, or I can append it. Now, merging queries is pulling in a column that you might need that you might not have had. Versus appending is kind of like a union in SQL where you just add it to the bottom. Now, if we just hit append queries right now, it's going to overwrite this sheet. And maybe I don't want that. So I'm going to hit this little arrow and hit append queries as new. Now, if I wanted to do 3 or more tables, you could see right here, I would be able to add as many tables as I'd like, and I could append it all together. But for this example, we only want to do 2. Now, an important thing to know for appending here is most of the columns have to have the same name. If they don't, they'll create a brand new column. So let me show you what I mean. First table here, we're going to have a sheet 1, and the second table, we're going to have a sheet 2. We're going to hit OK. It's going to think a little bit, and then we have this new table called append 1. So we see we have ID, first name, last name, but if we go over to the right, we can see we have a couple of repetitives of first name, last name, hire date. Now, this is because the column headers are different, so Power BI is not sure. So to make things a little bit more similar, I want to make sure that I rename things to make sure they match exactly between the two sheets. So I'm going to go to Sheet 2, and I'm going to see here that first name and last name are incorrect. So I'm going to double click. I'm going to make sure it's uppercase with a space, just the exact same way as the other one. Same thing with last name. And then I believe hire date was incorrect as well. Now, once I've hit enter, you can see right here, there's the step here showing renamed columns. We can go to append 1. We see all of a sudden, there's no other extra columns on the append. They're automatically under the first name, last name. Now, I see a little bit of green and a little bit of gray here, but I want to know what that kind of stuff means. If I go here to view and I hit column quality and column distribution, it'll give me some interesting facts about my data. It'll tell you how much is empty, how much is valid, all that kind of stuff. If we scroll down a little bit, we see there's a lot of null values here, and we want to get rid of that. Okay, there's a few ways that I can do that. I can go to Home, and I can go to Remove Rows and remove blank rows. If I do that, all of a sudden you see everything is good, and you can see I have exactly what I want, 100 rows, perfect. Otherwise, if we undo that step, if I hover over the gray, you can see that Power Query offers a few options for me. So another way is if you hover over the gray, you can see right here, this is a suggestion to remove empty. In this case, it's just filtering instead of removing the rows. But for the end result, it's going to be the same. You can see if I scroll down to the bottom, we have exactly 100 records. Perfect. Now, if we look at things, let's see. We can see on the ID side, there's 100 distinct, 100 unique. You can see right here, if I hover, it says 93 are distinct. Now, if I went ahead and removed the duplicates here, it would remove those extra ones. But that's a problem in this case because some people might share the same first name. However, if it's something like ID where it's supposed to be unique, if we undo here, we can see 100 distinct, 100 unique. If you had the same ID, yeah, it might be a good idea to go ahead and remove the duplicate. Next, we're going to go over to the right, and we're going to look at bonus percentage here. Now, that's just showing up as a whole number. I need this to show up as an actual percent. So if we go to transform, and we go to data type, and we say this is a percentage, but this is clearly not the percentages we want to get to. So we can go to standard, divide, and then we want to divide by 100. So you can see now those are correct percentages, exactly what we want it to be at. Now, if we go to the left here and we take a look at department, we can see that there's ABC company in front of all of that. So there's a few ways that we can do this. So we could go right here, right click, and hit replace values, type ABC company, and we want to replace it with nothing, hit OK. And you can see it fixes everything automatically. Or we can do a delimiter. So we can go ahead, go out of there, go to extract text after delimiter. So you can do either before, after, or between, and we could do it like this to say the delimiter for this example is ABC company. Hit OK. Also does the same thing. So you can see right here our address has a few messed up addresses. Right here we have a few extra gaps. And for this example, let's say I want to replace Ave with Avenue. I just want it to be consistent between all of them. So the first thing I'm going to do is right click on address, hit transform, trim. You see that it cleans everything up nicely. And then I want to go ahead and replace values and replace Ave with Avenue. And now everything is updated. Perfect. The other thing I want to do is I don't want extensions. We can see right here we have a couple examples of different extensions. I want to keep it the exact same character length that it is before. I'm going to go ahead and click on phone, go to transform, extract, and first characters. And I only want the first 12 characters if we include the dash. You see, okay, that looks pretty good as we look through our data. Yep. Okay, awesome. Now that I've cleaned up phone, I want to filter out a certain department. So I'm going to go here, click on the arrow. And for this example, we're going to remove the executives. Go ahead and hit OK. And the executives are filtered out. You can see now at the bottom, we have 92 rows. And obviously, it's only going to pull the top 1,000. After that, we want to add a couple columns. So right now, we want to add an index column. And we're going to start it from 1. You can see over here, here's the index. So if for some reason we didn't have an ID column and we needed one, we could create it very easily here. Now we have a really clean data set. And the awesome part is no matter how much sheet 1 and sheet 2 are updated, as long as the data isn't moved or columns aren't renamed, it's going to pull into this grouped up append query and you don't have to worry about it, which is awesome. If you want to go to home and hit advanced editor, you can see exactly all the steps that Power Query is doing. If for some other reason I wanted to call this my first step and make sure that it matches here and hit done, it'll rename that my first step on the right side. So now on the right, you can see every single time it's going to start by the source, filtering certain rows, changing the type, dividing that column, extracting text after the delimiter, trimming the text, replacing a value, extracting first characters, filtering rows, and then my first step. I hope this quick tutorial helped you figure out Power Query just a little bit better, and hopefully you can start applying it really soon. Thanks so much. Have a good one.